We'll start the meeting. It is now 5:34 on Tuesday, December the 15th. I assume, if I recall correctly, roll call is next.
Yes. So, Mr. Ryder,
Okay.
Present.
Mr. Ungar,
Here.
and Mr. Salazar.
Present.
And I also noted we have two guests on with us tonight, two board members. Officially, we have Joyce and we have Tina. So welcome you two. I don't think I'm missing anyone else. That looks like this is also on YouTube. I don't know if people are watching, but this is also posted on YouTube. If people ask, they can access it afterwards as well to see. Okay, Bill, all set?
Great, thank you. So I think the first item on the agenda is to once again go through the 5,000 series and review those and come up with a proposal for the board. I did want to take this opportunity to, before we get started in earnest in reviewing those, to tell everyone here and anybody that's watching at home, I did have the opportunity to have a conversation with Andy where we discussed the approach that as a leader of this committee I've been taking, which is for us to determine what are the policies that the district needs. And in retrospect, I believe that is the wrong approach. And what we need to be focused on is to really address the needs of the district. So with that in mind, I want to change the approach that I had established when I took over the leadership of this committee. And what I want to do instead is for the district through Andy to present what they believe is their needs in terms of policy requirements. And then once those are expressed, for us, the policy committee, to review those. And it may be the case that at this time, Andy takes a minute or however long he needs to present what the district needs. And then we take that under advice. We study those policies and we come back to the table with either an approval of those policies, a request for any other policies to be included that we feel are needed, or at least present them so we can have a conversation about that. And also, if there are any policies that we don't agree with, that we come back to the table to discuss those as well, and we figure out what is the need for including these. The intention is not for us to be a rubber stamp, and I don't want, certainly for myself or anybody on the committee, I don't think wants to abdicate our responsibility to be not only just voting members, but thinking members of this policy committee and propose what we think is a good policy for the district. So I'm not advocating that Andy proposes if we vote it in. What I'm proposing is that, and sorry for the redundancy, that Andy proposes the policies that the district needs. We take that under advice, and then we vote on whether we can accept that, we want to modify it, we want to enhance it, or we want to delete anything from it. And any comments or questions from the committee regarding that approach? Please. Scott, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute. Sorry, it's going a little slow here, the connection. Yeah, I don't understand why we would change the way that we've done them in the past. It seems like we're putting more work instead of equal work on our Enfield Public Schools employee liaison, who happens to be this, assistant superintendent. We should all be reviewing these as policy committee members. The three of us should be reading all of the policies submitted. And then we sit with Mr. Longi and we go through them all, and using part of what you were doing prior, definitely we go through the required ones first. I would agree with that, because you could kind of bang those out. Well, here's the 10 or 11 that laws have changed or legalese has changed. These have to go through. So you kind of cross those off on your first meeting of the next series. But then we go through them all, and something that says best practice or a good idea to have but not legally required, we can say the same thing to Mr. Longi, like, hey, are we doing this already? Are we doubling your work? Are we doubling the work of the administrators in our buildings by adding this? And Andy will say, no, we do this anyway. This is kind of put something on paper for us. Now you're suggesting that, Mr. Lungi goes through all these first not in concert with us, and then he'll say, what, like, here's the 12 or 11 required, to my first point, but out of the other 80 in this series, here's what I'm personally recommending. I don't know. You said, I don't want to make it sound like we're rubber stamping this or vacating our duties, but I think that's the definition of what you're proposing.
No, well, sure, John.
If
Sorry,
you maybe
please go ahead.
clarify.
No,
Sorry.
if you want to comment on Scott's comment, that's fine. If not, I'm just going to say I've got something to say also after your exchange and discourse is complete.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to address Scott's concern about putting additional work on Andy. I do want to split the work more fairly on us as well. And I think that the best way to do that is to understand what it is that the district does require from an expert's point of view. And then we take that into consideration while we go on our own and study and research each policy that's not only brought forth by Mr. Longi, but the policy packet that we are in possession of for all of the policies that are considered. In addition to that, it is the fact that none of us have the experience and expertise that Mr. Longi brings to the table in understanding not just how the policies are intended to be implemented, but what policies are required by the district itself. And while we may have a pretty decent idea, and I believe all three of us, and everybody that's on the board, it's an intelligent member, and we can put our best foot forward, there's nobody as qualified as Mr. Longi to at least make the proposal. Once that is done, I don't expect us, and if I didn't make it clear when I spoke before, I want to make it clear. Once that is done, I don't expect that we're going to have resolution for these necessarily tonight. My intention is to hear what he has to propose, for us to come back, study those independently, research them, whatever it is that we need to do to make sure that we understand them and we develop an opinion on them, and then we vote on them when we come back to the table. Not without first having a conversation at the table on how and why we propose what we propose, whether it's the same, different, or again, an enhancement or a deletion from anything that Mr. Longi. I don't know that answers your concern, Scott. And yes, John.
Yeah, well, I do want to say that I do agree with your approach, Bill. Here, I think that Andy truly is the expert. He's got years of experience dealing with policy implementation. He knows that better than any of us here. And so he knows what policies he's using. He knows which ones are being presented here, which ones that he feels will be useful, which ones he thinks are not useful. We have no better person to go through these and make his recommendations than Andy. And I think it would be wise and prudent to rely on his skills, his expertise, his experience, his education in these areas. And nobody is in a better position because he lives it and works it every day and has been. So for us to say, well, I think this or I think that, I think we start off with Andy saying, okay, here's what we're required to do. Here's what we already have in place, what I think we should continue with. And then of new policies that are being presented, I'd like to hear what he has to say as to which ones he thinks are necessary and which ones may not be necessary, which ones are being already addressed with existing policies, and which ones he feels will be useful to the district, and which ones he feels are not needed.
Okay.
And then we take it from there.
First of all, I appreciate both of your spin, implying that I didn't think Andy was qualified to do these things.
No, there was
However,
no implication there at all.
Scott,
However,
let me stop you there for a second, please. Let's not begin this with contentious statements by saying that we're putting a spin. I don't know how you mean that, but that can be interpreted many ways. And I'm being honest and respectful, and I expect the same from you. So let's not begin the conversation by going in with assumptions, allusions, or implications, please.
Sure. So what I meant by that was you guys were saying Andy is the most qualified, and nobody's denying that. Nobody has more faith in the district and in our superintendent and assistant superintendent than I do. So I don't understand what you're saying. So basically, we're going to do the same thing, maybe in a different order, and that's fine. I just pointed out earlier where you said, the way I'm describing it may seem like we're abdicating some of our responsibilities, and I just wanted to confirm that that's how it reads. But we're doing the same thing in a different order, and I'll accept that. I just won't accept the fact that I asked a question and you guys had a speech about, you know, how great Andy is, which nobody's going to deny that on this camera. So thank you. So where do we go from here?
Okay, so I will ask Andy to present to us what he believes the district needs. We don't have to go into all of the detail. I think title and number will be a great start. We'll make note of that, and then we will study those independently and come back to the table with, again, discussion on those particular ones, any additions that we want to make, or any deletions that we want to make from what Andy believes as a representative of the district.
Okay, what series are we talking about?
5,000.
And we're going to start at what? The first one or the 18 in contention? Where are we here?
No, we're
What's
going to
happening?
start with that. We're going to start from scratch.
No, we're not. No, we're not doing that. We've been on this series for 13 months. We're not doing that.
Scott,
not-
Okay,
this-
well, that's my,
that's-
Scott.
That's not what,
my-
you didn't run that by the policy. You didn't run that by the committee. You announced it tonight, and now you're going to dump this on Superintendent Longy to start over again?
Well, as I said at the beginning of the conversation, I did have this conversation with Andy, and
You said
where
going
I was going to
forward.
propose. Yeah,
That going forward, we do X, Y, and Z. So that would be the next series.
going forward to me means the next policy meeting, which is this one.
And when were you going to tell the rest of the committee that?
Well, I'm doing so now.
Yeah, you're saying
I
it,
don't
and then
know-
we're jumping into it. There's no notice
Yes.
about this? All
Well,
right,
if we
Bill,
want to
this is
discuss
not-
it, if we want to discuss it, here, this is the opportunity. Let's discuss it honestly, openly, and civilly. I don't have any issues with that. You're
You've been
okay
on
with
this
us
committee
doing?
For 14
You're okay
months,
with doing?
and you've got nothing done, and now we're starting over again.
Well, if that's how you feel about it, I'm not going to argue that point. I have not been the
Good.
chair for 14 months, right?
You've been on
if
this
that's how you
committee
feel
on,
about it. Okay, well, I mean, I can say the same for you, and I guess we haven't done anything in the last 14 months. You've been a member as well, but that's not the point. The point is, can we just have a fresh, clean start?
Yeah.
I don't see why in 2 meetings we're not going to be able to get this accomplished. Honestly, that is my expectation.
I think I'm prepared. I can go through these pretty quick, so we can just get moving. Scott, I do appreciate that
I
you're
just
worried
want-
about the time. I understand.
I know, I just want clarification on where we're starting from.
Yep. So
So,
where I started, Scott, I've taken into consideration the work that the committees have done on the 5,000s. So I'm using the packet that the committee prior to this one whittled down the basic 5,000s that we've been using. So the 5,000 series is going to start not at 5,000 because we approved that already. We approved that back on 2/25/20, right before COVID kind of messed everything up. So if you remember, we approved that one already, 5,000s. And then at prior to that, we in between that, we started whittling some of them down. We reviewed some that the group really did agree on. Not a lot, but a few. But basically, we're going to start at 5,111, and there's 50 that I saw that I think as the district and the community would benefit from. And so, Scott, I do appreciate you saying, this is just dropping on Andy, but I am prepared to do that, and I do think it'll help this group start to move forward, and I do. We need to get through this. So
Right, but it's also being dropped on me because I didn't know this is where we were. So all right, so the 18 quote unquote policies up for debate that were passed by the subcommittee in July and August, are they in this chunk that we're looking at now?
Yes.
Or they're not? I don't know where we are in the calendar. Did you
Right.
rewind us? Because Bill said he rewound us 14 months. He said we're starting over. and we started the 5,000s 14 months ago. So where are we? Is it July? Is it August? That's, I'm just trying to
No,
figure
no,
out
no.
where I am.
No, but
Andy, you sent
guys,
out-
sorry,
I-
John, please. I don't want this to turn into an argument,
It's not going to
okay?
be. Let me just say one thing, Bill. Andy sent out today 2 attachments in an email, which were the policies. And
Yeah,
I'm
a couple hours ago, but I didn't know what this was for. I didn't know where we were starting in the conversation. I didn't know that the rules had changed halfway through the game. So I'm just asking where we are.
Okay, and I believe I answered that. And you believe that's putting us back 14 months? I don't understand why you say 14 months, but we're starting with the 5,000s. Andy has said that he has obviously taken into account the 18, all of the ones that were included in the packet. And if I heard him correctly, he mentioned 50. I don't know which ones those are. I want to hear out what he is recommending of all the ones proposed by CABE.
But all the ones proposed by CABE when we first started aren't in the 5,000s that we voted on a month ago because they were different from the summer. So all I was asking was from clarification on the starting point, because you said, and I can quote you because we can rewind this, we're starting over on the 5,000s, but we're not starting over. We're starting from where we were in, say, August.
Okay.
Right. So we're
Yes.
starting over. Yes, Scott, that's
Thank
correct.
you for the
Starting
clarification, Mr.
with,
Salazar.
with the new ones that came in over the summer that kind of, I think, bogged us down. So they're all included in there. So you'll see me skip some, and it's because they've already been reviewed in the past, and it was unanimous that those wouldn't be in there. If by using the chart that I think probably you guys should go through is probably the best way to do this. If you still have your chart, maybe the best way to do it. So you can maybe circle or highlight the 50 that I'm going to say.
Yeah, I don't have that with me because we weren't told about this from the subcommittee lead. So I got to find that reference chart.
Scott, I don't mind sending out an email to the group tomorrow, just listing all 50. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. All right.
That's not a problem. Okay. All right, so I'll say a few words which will give you a chance to get organized, but please feel free to stop me. So these are not Andy Longy's ideas. I want to be clear about that. This is from a district lens. It's from a community lens. So there's policies that I thought would be helpful to the district, not from maybe a principal's perspective, but maybe from a parent perspective. And so these policies, especially the 5,000s, do educate the community. They do educate our principals, our administrators, and our teachers. There's a lot, as you know, with discipline, there's a lot about how families interact with the school district when it comes to discipline, as well as a myriad of other things that directly affect students. And so sometimes these can be tough subjects because when we deal with students, a lot of people have opinions because especially when it comes to discipline, there's things about expulsions and suspension, how we deal with students with special needs when it comes to discipline. So there's just a myriad of things the 5,000s covers. And I thought in general, CABE did a very good job adding things to our policies that are going to give us more clarity. 5,000s, I thought were missing quite a bit of clarity. And so the reason why I thought the district could benefit from 50 policies, which is more than what we have, is because of the clarity it's going to give the community, and community being the schools, the parents, the school board, etc. So with that said, I think it's, if you have the chart, if not, like I said, I will send them out to you, or if you want to just write the numbers as I go, that's fine. So looking at the very top one on the chart, 5,000s, which is concept and roles, that was approved already by the board. So that's already done. And that was approved on February 25th of 2020, really right before March hit. And we pretty much had to stop meeting live for a while. So that's done. 5,000's done. The next one is admission 5111. And that's an existing policy. The next one, 5112, ages of attendance. That's a mandatory policy. The next one, 5113. Again, that's an existing policy. And that's on attendance and excuses. You're gonna see on that front cover, there's a couple of highlighted ones, truancy and suspensions, expulsions. I'm not gonna include those because they will be covered somewhere else. So I tried to clean this up as well. There's quite a few policies that repeat themselves. We had that we suggested another one, which is a good case. So on this first page of the chart, there's only 3 I'm recommending.
Hang on one second, Andy. John, can you mute? Because all I hear is your paper shuffling. I just want to hear Andy's numbers, that's all.
Yep, no, sorry about that.
Okay, so just 3 on that first page. And again, don't get caught up if you see the bold of truancy and suspension expulsion. We will come back to that. Okay, going on to the next page of the chart. The district has 5117, school assignment and racial balance. The next one, 5118, and that's non-resident attendance. That is also an existing policy. The next one is right after, 5118.1, and that's a mandatory policy on homeless students. The next one, even though it's a little out of order, you'll see on the chart, but it's just not much. Children in foster care, 5118.3. And then if you drop down a couple, 5118.2, you can see where it's a little out of, the number's a little off there, but it's in the same branch of policy. So 5118.2, educational opportunities for military children. The next one, 5120, progress and records, and that again is an existing policy. The next one, 5121, that's on examination, grading, and rating. And the last one on this page goes down to the mandatory policy, 5123, and that's on promotion and retention. That's mandatory and it's an existing policy. So from that page, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. You should have 8 policies that I'm recommending from that page.
Andy, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but could you go back to 5120, please?
Yes, progress and records. Yep.
Okay, all right. I have it as progress reports. Okay, fine, thank you.
No problem. Okay, next page on the chart. The first one is 5124.1, and that's district school report cards. And that's an existing policy just from the 2000s, but now it's numbered where it properly should be in the 5000s. The next one is a mandatory one and existing, 5125, and that's student records and confidentiality. And the one just below it, 5125.11, health and medical records, is a new policy, but one that would be beneficial to us. There's going to be one I'm going to need you to add in. You're going to have to write it in because it's not on the chart because it's not on CABE's radar. This is a policy that we created at one point, and that is 5127.4. 5127.4, and that's the World War II Veterans Diploma policy. If you remember that from our last meeting, that's
existing, isn't it?
That's already existing. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not used often, but it still is used.
Yeah.
So that's 5127.4. So you won't see it on that chart. You need to add that. Next one, 5131. That's
sorry, Andy. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Just to make sure that we all have the information. As I said, the idea is to get this listing from you, go back to the documents that we have. Even though it's not in the CABE proposal, it is in the attachment that you sent out today.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. You will be able to find that in there.
Okay.
And it's in order. 5131 is on conduct, and that's a mandatory and an existing. The next policy that we suggest is bus conduct, 5131.1, and that's an existing policy. The next policy, 5131.5, and that's vandalism. And you're going to see that's actually a regulation, but that's something that helps our administrators and we'd like to see passed. It gives our administrators direction on how to handle that. The next one, 5131.6, is on drugs, tobacco, and alcohol. So there should be a total of 8 on that page. Okay, if we're okay, we're going to the next page. And right off the top, we're going to start with 5131.7, and that's weapons and dangerous instruments. That is a mandatory policy. The one right below it, 5131.8, out of school grounds misconduct. 2 down, 5131.91. That covers hazing, and that is an existing policy, just renumbered. And then right below that, we have 5131.911. That's an existing and a mandatory policy.
I'm sorry, can you say the number one more time? 5131 dot.
911.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next one, 5132. And that's dress and grooming or dress code, depending on what's on your list. We would really call that the dress code policy. And that is an existing policy as well. Next one, 5134. This is a new policy to help us with married and pregnant students in the school system. Next one, and actually the last one for this page, 5141.21, and that will be bold on your list. Administering medication. That is a mandatory policy. So on that page, you should have 7. There should have been 7 policies that I just read you from that page.
Andy, excuse me, please. There was
Yes.
another policy before that, though, I thought, 5141, which was new, student health services.
Yes, so that's another example where we have a policy that replaces another policy. When we turn the page, 5141.3 actually is going to replace that. It's going to be more current policy that Gabe gave us.
Okay.
Okay, so we're
Yes.
not going to, I suggest we do not use the 5141. It's under health. There'll be another policy that'll cover that policy that we'll see in just a second.
Okay. I remember saying it's a suggested replacement for both
Yep.
5141 and 5141.1.
Yep.
Got it.
So,
Thank you.
So we don't have redundant policy. Okay, so the next page. So first one, 5141.22, communicable diseases and infectious diseases, and that is an existing policy. Two down, we have 5141.231, and that's on psychotropic drug use. That's an existing policy and a mandatory policy. Next one, 5141.25.
Sorry, Andy, hang on just one second. I'm opening up the second PowerPoint because we got onto the second PowerPoint.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott. Give me.
Oh, I'm sorry, the second PDF, the second PDF.
Yep.
Okay. And now I know why you sent the PDFs.
Yeah, so far they're in order, Scott?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great, great. Are you all set?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, no problem. So 5141.25, and that's students with special healthcare needs and food allergies. That's an existing policy as well. We drop down to 5141.3, health assessment and immunizations, and that's the policy that's going to cover the other one. That's a nice policy that kind of gives all of our health assessments, immunizations, et cetera, all in there. Dropping down, 5141.4. That's a mandatory policy on reporting of child abuse and neglect. Right below it, 5141.5, suicide intervention and prevention. That's another mandatory policy and an existing policy, renumbered for us. Next policy, 5141.7, and that's on student sports, focus on concussion and head injuries. That is an existing policy. And lastly, on this page, 5142.
Excuse me, Eddie.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but just going back, I did see another one there that was skipped over. It was 5141.6. It's a new policy, crisis response, crisis management plan.
Yes, that is, if you want to take a look at that one, John, I did not choose that one. I think we have enough written on that. But that's something we could talk about at the next meeting.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood, Andy. I guess the ones that you're going through now, just so I clearly understand, are the ones that you're recommending, that you're saying that we should have. So,
That's right.
All right.
Yeah, if I don't say it, that doesn't mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
That
my,
is-
I'm taking the district's opinion. I feel like, I'm sure we'll get into this next meeting, but I feel like we
That-
have a lot written on this.
Good,
And
good.
I think it would be redundant at this point.
Okay, good. I understand.
Yeah, so the intention, John, is to get the listing that the district is advocating for. And then
Yeah.
for us to take all of these, again, some of these we're already familiar with, some of them research them in depth, make up our mind as to whether we want to support it. If we don't, then bring it to the table so we can have a conversation about that, and then we can convince each other of why we should have it or not have it. And again, either remove some that we just can't agree with, or propose some additional ones, like maybe this is the case. And I'm not saying you're going to do that. I'm just saying, as an example, right? Maybe you believe that this is important, and then bring it to the table, and we'll have a conversation, the three of us, and Scott, myself, you and myself, and we can we'll decide to put it forward or whatever the case may be.
Yes, no, I understand. And I went through the policy packages that Andy provided today and documented them all. And he was giving a pretty comprehensive list of everything. And I saw that one wasn't there. So I wasn't sure if he was just reading, just accounting for every one of them, or just going with the ones that he was recommending. And so now I understand. Thank you.
Okay,
Problem.
no problem.
Okay, so I think the
So-
last one, I apologize if I didn't say it, 5142. And
That's the last one I have. Yeah.
Yep, that's under safety. Okay. Okay, next
That's
page.
it for that next
That's
page.
it for that
Okay,
page,
yeah.
Bill, yes. Okay, you'll see, so there's no confusion, 5144, that's bold, but we already saw a policy 5131, and that covers the discipline component that we need. And so that is not included. So even though it's bold, it's okay. 5131 covers that. So that's not included. But the next one that's the first one, 5144.1. Use of physical force. That's an existing policy.
And for the viewing public, I guess, Andy, to your statement that you just made, CAVE
Yep.
gives us that latitude. I think it's all included
Correct.
in the.
Yes, so
And
right,
I-
good, but yeah, right, because obviously discipline punishment's really important, but just the board believes strongly in discipline and punishment. CAVE gives us a couple options, we had our own, and 5131 is the one I recommend, that I think is the best summary for where we stand on that. The next one, even though it's not bold, this policy is mandatory. It should have been. And that's 5144.2. And that's use of exclusionary timeout settings. CABE made a mistake here. They actually titled it wrong. You may have on your chart, it says social services. That's actually wrong. The actual policy is use of exclusionary timeout settings. And that is a mandatory policy. So that's 5144.2. I'm not sure where that mistake was by CABE, but that's a mistake. And then another one, 5144.4, physical exercise and discipline of students. That actually is a mandatory policy as well, but it's not bold. That is a mandatory policy. 5144.4. Okay, next one that I'm suggesting, civil and legal rights and responsibilities. That's 5145. The next one, 5145.12, and that's on search and seizure. And that is also an existing policy. Next one, 5145.122, use of dogs to search school property. That's an existing policy. It's now brought into the proper policy series. It was in 1000. Now it's where it should be in the 5000s. Next one, 5145.124, breathalyzer testing. Next one, 5145.14.
Andy,
Yeah.
sorry, there's a lot of background noise, and
I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Oh, I thought it was just me. In my case, it just sounds muffled, but.
5145.14, and that's on-campus recruitment. That is a mandatory policy.
Can you repeat again, please, Andy, the number?
Yep.
5145.
5145.14, on-campus recruitment. Next one, 5145.15, directory information, and that's an existing policy. And one more, last one, 5145.2, and that's freedom of speech and expression. So there's quite a few on that page. So let me count them so we have them. So that's 10 on that page, 10 on that page that have singled out. Okay, good news. We're on the last page. Okay, so next one is 5145.4. That's on non-discrimination. That is a mandatory policy. So there's one that's not going to be on your chart that would fit in next. And that's because it came in last month, if you remember. It was on Title IX, which is a mandatory policy. So let me give you the number and you can write it in. 5145.44. And that's on Title IX. New federal regulations came out on Title IX. That is in your packet, though, even though it's not on the chart. It's in your packet. So that's 5145.44, and that is a mandatory policy. Next one, 5145.5, exploitation and sexual harassment. Next one, 5145.511. That's on sexual abuse prevention and education program. That is an existing policy, just renumbered. Next one, two more. 5145.53. That's a policy regarding transgender and non-conforming youth. And final policy, 5145.6, students grievance procedure, and that is a mandatory policy. So that should be 1, 2, 3, 5 policies on that page. And if I counted them all right, that's a total of 50 policies the district is recommending.
I had a quick question. There was one you said, 0.44. 5145.44. And I know we did approve that when we last met, but it wasn't in the packet. It wasn't in your PDF, I'm sorry.
But it was approved already.
Yeah, okay. I was just saying it wasn't in the PDF in
And
order.
what's the number, Scott, just so I can double check though?
5145.44. Because mine goes from 0.4
Yeah,
to
yeah, that's
0.5.
That's good. Good
That's
grab.
all.
Let me check on that just to make sure that that gets in there. 5145.
Just so we could see what the
Yep.
5,000 is now, quote unquote. That's all.
And that's Title IX.
Oh, that's Title IX. That wasn't in. I didn't make a copy and put it in the packet, Scott.
No,
You're-
it was in there.
where
It's in
In the
Is that-
PDF? In the PDF right now that we got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where? Show me. What page?
5145.44. Yeah,
It's
I
in
definitely
there.
want that in there if it's not in there.
No, it is in
Yeah,
there.
but what page number, Bill?
No, I don't
Sorry,
know.
John.
I'm not looking at it.
John, what page number?
I don't know, I have to go through it, but what I did is I compiled them all into like a one-page report.
Oh, that's okay.
Let me look.
PDF 2,
Oh, I've
page
got it,
103.
Scott. It's in mine.
Yeah, PDF 2, page 104.
PDF 2. I don't know the
Yep.
page. I have it copied, but I do have it.
Yeah, page. Yeah, it's
So-
just out of order. It's pages 102, 103, 104. It's a couple pages.
And then
Okay.
if you look at 5145.4, it says existing Title IX, basically 5410, it's required, but then the A, B, and C pages of that policy are crossed out. And I was going to ask you about that, Andy.
Yeah,
Where-
because Cabe needed us to pick one.
Okay,
And I picked the first one.
all right.
It was one of the ones where we
Guys,
get
so
options.
now you can see. Thanks for bringing that up, John. I forgot to mention that. Cabe sometimes will give you options.
Mhm.
I showing you which ones I would choose, and then you guys can certainly talk about it next time. Okay. So
Okay,
when you see an X out, that means I didn't choose that one. Okay. But this isn't, this is a draft. So go crazy. Good call on that, John. I
Per-
forgot to
per-
mention.
Well, this is
Mhm.
this is excellent work, Andy. I appreciate not just the effort and time that you dedicated to it, but again the opportunity for us to take advantage of your expertise. So the idea here, gentlemen, is for us now to take a look at all these policies. In addition, take a look at the entire packet of 5,000s other than the 5,000 already, which is policy and standing and has been approved. And decide whether we'd like to support all these policies as presented by Andy, whether we'd like to add any more to this list, or whether we would like to delete any from this list. The idea is that we come together at the next meeting with notes, opinion, whatever, research that we've done to have that conversation, and then decide if we're going to put this package as presented tonight forth, or we're going to make any modifications to it. I hope, I expect, I feel that we can accomplish that at the next meeting. It probably will not necessarily be a 30-minute meeting, but it's my expectation and sincere hope that we can do so next time. Any questions, John or Scott?
No, I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to have a comment. I wanted to thank Andy for taking the time to go through and appreciate his recommendations. Certainly, we rely on your insight here and what you think you need and what you think you don't need. So Again, as Bill said, we're not, and this is to answer Scott as well, is like we're not a rubber stamp group here. So we'll go through, and if we see anything that causes concern, we'll discuss it at our next meeting.
Okay, just to clarify though, we've already talked about these. We've already gotten Andy's opinion on all of them. We've already talked about these ad nauseum and at length. And we knew Andy's opinion on all of these because we've had these meetings for months and months and months and months and months on the same series. So we've already had these discussions with Mr. Lungi where we've said, oh, 5-1 A, B, C, D,
But
it's
Scott,
not
I
required.
haven't, I didn't.
At minimum, you have to admit that John wasn't aware of those
I wasn't,
conversations.
Scott, I really wasn't aware of what Andy's thoughts were on these at all. So I think for me, it's been very, very helpful.
Yeah, okay. But at the same time, we've already talked about these. You just joined the group, at the point of the time you joined the group. I mean, Bill knows these. I'm just saying, we're thanking Andy for doing the work that we've all been doing for 14 months. So at least I have. So I echo what you guys say. Andy, you did a great job telling us again the policies that you think we should have. And when's the next meeting?
Well, I guess it's not until the beginning of the year.
Oh yeah, we do one a month. So January.
I don't have a date in front of me, so I don't know when the next meeting is.
But you're the lead.
I get it. I don't have the date in front. I don't have the date in front of me. If you don't mind, I will send it to you, and I'll send it to the entire committee tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually don't have it on my calendar either for January,
Yeah.
which may not be a bad thing. We may be able to pick a date maybe later in January I really would like to do the next one in person if possible. I think it's important when we're actually looking at the documents and making final decisions. So I would just recommend, Bill and the committee, that maybe we try to push it a little bit back in January, not the first week and not the second week, maybe the third week might be a good idea. But Bill, we can talk about that offline.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Any other questions or concerns? Nope. I guess. Okay. Well, so we've ended the topic on regarding the 5,000 discussion. Are there any other items on the table? I guess hearing none, I don't believe that we have any other business this evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Okay. So we need to take a vote on that? I assume not. No. Okay. Well, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for their attendance today. I know we're very close to the holidays. We're already in the middle of the holiday season in general. So want to wish everybody in this committee and anybody that's listening out there, sorry, everybody in this committee and everybody that is listening out there, very happy holidays, and certainly the best wishes for a happy, healthy, and prosperous new year to everyone.
Yes.
All right.
Here,
So
Thank you.
we'll touch base, Andy. Thank you.
Okay,
here.
thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
Thank you, Andy.
Happy
Bye-bye.
Hanukkah.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Guy, for
Bye.
listening.